Podcast. 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 Yes, that's right. 25 seconds of audio to start every episode of the Racer X Exhaust podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. Every podcast I listen to, I've done the math. Their theme song, usually 6 seconds. How about that? That's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you more than 3 times the amount of theme song for your dollar, which is none. So if you've got an extra dollar, spend it with us at RacerX. Go to racerxonline.com/subscribe. 99 cents gets you 3 months of our digital edition, or $2.99 to throw in the print version as well. We still do exclusive stuff in the magazine, digital or print, that you cannot get on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or our website. And we work really hard on it, okay? I did a podcast interview with Rick Johnson. Talking to Rick Johnson, easy. Writing this whole gnarly story about Rick Johnson and trying to sum it all up, that's hard. Keep the lights on. Support our moto journalism mission, and just consider it like a premium membership to the club. You get the best stuff if you subscribe to the magazine. And also, of course, this podcast brought to you by Yoshimura. Go to yoshimura-rd.com for the latest on their exhaust systems. You know who helps out Cole Seeley with a lot of his bike builds? Yoshimura. They sponsored him when he was Factory Honda. They sponsor him now. And let's get to Cole Seeley. I'm Jason Weigandt, by the way. Cole Seeley, we had him on as Instagram Live interview last week. We've repurposed that as a podcast. If you didn't happen to be listening to Instagram at that very moment, here's what you missed. We talked to Seeley about post-retirement life and also his transition into his YouTube channel where he's doing bike builds, including how the longtime Honda man is now working on a KTM and how that all came to be. So here's Cole Seeley. Hey, thanks for joining us, dude. What are you up to? You're in your truck. Are you about to go riding or something?
Yeah, I'm out at Deegan's house right now. Spending some laps on his little hybrid Supercross Futures Supercross track, filming some stuff for my own YouTube channel, and then they're doing some stuff for theirs too. So, pretty cool.
So it's like a YouTube collab.
Kind of, I guess. Yeah, we'll see how the day pans out, but that's kind of what's going on so far.
Well, look, every time I do one of these interviews, I have the same basic question, which is like, oh man, you're a racer, you're on the go, you're trying to train and improve and get better every day, and how are you relaxing without any races? Yeah. But dude, I can't ask you those questions now.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely different. Definitely in a different stage of my life right now. So it's been cool though. I've been kind of took a few months there to like just unplug from everything moto and unplug from routine and all that, and then now I'm starting to kind of find my groove and find my routine with it. Because as a motocross racer, especially, I only had a 11-year career, but you get so like in a routine every single day. Even like I noticed, even like drinking a certain amount of bottles of water, or like now when I'm retired, I'm like, oh, like I need to actually like pay attention to what I'm drinking, water consumption wise. Like all the little things that you don't even think about definitely change, and you don't even really realize some of the small things like that.
Well, what I've been trying to ask the racers about here is, so for 11 years, your goal every day was to put your best foot forward, try to improve, get faster, stronger, better every single day. You're not dealing with it right now because you're not racing this year, but how hard would it be to just suddenly turn that off like everyone's supposed to do right now? Just don't worry about getting better today. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
I know. That's what I was thinking, because originally I had heard rumors that the Supercross season was going to continue after, or a few rounds after, the outdoor series.
Yeah.
And that would be really tricky, because right now it would be your off season. Then you get into your outdoor season, and then you get into your Supercross season for 2020, and then into your 2021 Supercross. So it's like a full year of racing.
Yeah.
Which is weird, has to be weird to train for. I mean, 17 rounds with a week off and then another week off into 12 rounds is hard enough to manage your energy and manage your training schedule. So I couldn't imagine doing it for an entire year of whatever that adds up to, 40-something rounds straight.
Yeah. It's basically like an 18-month season.
Yeah.
And then this time of year, okay, we know we're not going to have a race like next weekend. You would literally have to just chill, which I would think is tough for you guys to be okay with that.
You'd have to treat it like you're going into November. Like you're just coming off of your pre-season like time off, a recovery time, and then this would be your November leading into your continued season, I guess. So it's definitely, it's different for sure. I was kind of interested to see also, kind of just thinking creatively about the season. If we did go straight into an outdoor season, that would give American riders a lot more time to prepare on an outdoor bike and then hit the season hard, and then we would have a better shot at the nations too. Because that's the thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Is it really? It's hard. It's not like any other sport where we match up against the best in the world, where the best in the world spend their entire year training on outdoor, and then we spend most of the year training Supercross and then go ride outdoors for a few months and then go race them. So I think that would give a different. Give us a lot more time. I think the American riders would have a little bit better shot at winning the thing at the end of the year. But and again, that's going off of the one rumor. So
right.
But it's hard not to think about the possibilities for sure.
Yeah, and now there's it's not happening for sure, but at least Feld is investigating the idea of maybe getting the races in, as you probably heard, like May, June, like going back to that. There's no guarantee that's going to be hard to pull off, but so it's like anytime a rider thinks they have it figured out, it might change anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not just the motocross industry. It's every single industry in the world right now dealing with the same thing. So, but obviously we're the ones thinking about our own stuff. So it's cool. This is definitely a time in all of our lives we're going to be look back on and be like, hey, remember that one season where everything stopped?
I hope people can, because look, no matter what happens, it's not going to be perfect. Like, no one's schedule is the way it was supposed to be. Everything's messed up. So I hope everybody's cool enough to be like, I'll just take whatever I can get this year. It's not going to be perfect, and it's just 1 year, no big deal. But I have a feeling when you guys are ambitious as you are, and you want everything to be perfect and at its best all the time, it's probably hard to just roll with it when you want to control as much as you can control.
And I feel so bad for Eli and Kenny right now because both of those guys have a really good shot at winning this thing, and no matter what happens, it's going to have an asterisk next to it. It sucks. But then again, we did run 10 rounds, and those guys do, deserve whoever gets the championship. No credit taken away from either one of those guys, but it is definitely an interesting, I won, but we had to take a little break.
Did you struggle a bit with that same thing as far as, like, it must have been fun to have time on your hands and not have to be somewhere every day, but was it also hard to figure out what to do when you first retired, so to speak?
I definitely went through, like, a 2 or 3 week period where, like, I thought I was depressed because I'd wake up and I'd be like, what am I waking up for right now? Like, I have nothing to do today. So, like, I'd end up, because I'm just in a routine of waking up at like 6 or 7 in the morning, getting my warm up in, getting my breakfast, heading to the track. So I was still in that routine. And then I'd wake up and I'd be like, well, why am I getting up so early? Like, I really have nothing to do. So it's just a weird, like, kind of like neutral state of mind where I was like, what should I do today? It was cool though, because it's like that when you're racing, that's like you want those days so bad where you're like, I just want a day off to recover. And then when you're kind of throwing too many of them, you're like, all right, what can I do now?
You started the bike build stuff and your YouTube channel while you were still racing. Did you ever think of that? Because that must have given you some sanity, at least when you stopped racing. At least you had that to do. Yeah,
well, I kind of didn't, because I did them both while I was somewhat racing, but I had the help of my best friend Mikey, who runs Bleach Design, kind of doing the footwork. So I'd be like, we'd do the work together. He would do the footwork while I was off racing or staying in Florida or whatever. So that helped out a lot, and I wanted to continue this whole thing. Like, I was like, okay, once I retire, like, I want to really hit YouTube hard and do cool builds and like, because I like doing it, not necessarily for a source of income or whatever, but like you said, just to kind of have some time to do something, like preoccupy my time. So I wanted to hit it hard with that, but I just didn't get some support that I needed to like continue that direction. So I was definitely like, man, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to, make this all work? And that's where the whole, the merch line that I came up with, the Sealy Speed Factory that I started selling, was to kind of get some money together to put back into the builds and buy the bikes and buy the parts to continue on like the YouTube build stuff. And I'm not like right now too, I've found ways to like not only do builds, but like today, like we're out here filming on the hybrid Supercross track and just doing different stuff that I really just didn't have time for, obviously being a full-time racer.
So when you first started it, you kind of had a little bit of a vision of like how many builds and stuff you could do, and then that ended up not being as easy, not time-wise, but even budget-wise, as you thought? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess, I mean, like, but I don't think I deserve free bikes or anything like that, but I think my content definitely pushes brands and pushes people towards. Sometimes I think I get more out of it than racing for the consumer. So, like for instance, the 450L build I did, I know like a lot of people went out that were on the fence and went out and picked one up because they saw what I was doing with it. You know, so I don't know how that translates. Obviously, there's no like survey when you buy the bike. Like, did you buy this because, you know, like I told you to. But I don't know. It's a new path, I guess. So I'm just kind of trying to prove my worth. And luckily, I have guys like Troy Lee Designs and Alpine Stars 100% that are still like backing me and helping me out and can kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to prove to those guys my worth as well while they're still kind of helping me out.
But we cannot classify you as YouTube star yet. The huge checks aren't rolling into that level yet.
No, the ad revenue isn't there yet.
Okay, your job was to race. Now it's not. Like literally, are you doing something else to make money, or how does the business side work for you right now?
I mean, I did pretty well as a racer. Obviously, like I took a big hit financially, like going from making so much to essentially not having a job. Yeah, but I tried to be smart with my money while it was coming in. Even like where I was living in Orange County was really an investment. Like I knew when I bought that place that I would sell it when I retired and make money on it. And on the back end, I have full like I don't know full. I don't want to talk too much about finances, but I was smart about it. So
cool. Okay.
So like I said, I didn't want to dip too much into that though to try and continue to build stuff. That's how the whole Sealy Speed Factory thing came about. It's just a brand to kind of tie to my name, to tie to the builds and keep some income coming in so I could put those back into the content and make sponsors that stayed with me happy.
Yeah, so you don't need to be out there hustling like I got to get a job anywhere. You can kind of just take it as it comes. You at least have that kind of freedom, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Now, the big deal was you popped up on a KTM a week ago. So I watched, I think you got 2 videos now. First one you had it and the things you like about it. Dude, that like shocked people. Like to me, we see it all the time, but it shocks some people, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a big change for me, and like I try to explain it. I made a YouTube video about it to try to explain my decision on it, and really it was just the financial decision. Like when it came down to it was I'm gonna have to buy a bike. What's gonna be my cheapest option? Obviously, I have connections and I can get bikes for a little cheaper than the everyday guy. But when I was in contact with the Troy Lee team and they essentially helped me get me on a KTM, and that was my cheapest option. So I bit the bullet and took that option. So shout out to Troy Lee for helping me out and getting me a new bike to build. But I was also kind of curious to try them because I've been on the same bike for 10 years now. So I was curious, how they handle, what the buzz is about on them, and also I have access to some pretty interesting parts that. I'm actually converting the suspension to run with KYB, so that's something that you don't see every day. And then just so happens Yoshimura, who's been a longtime supporter of mine, just started making exhaust systems for him. So definitely gonna pick one of those up yesterday or had it shipped to me, and it's gonna have some different parts where I think and the styling's gonna be different. I already talked to Troy Lee about helping me style the graphics and style the plastics and all that. So I'm just using all my resources and just trying to build something interesting and kind of like classic and timeless at the same time.
But as you said, it's not a KTM deal. Like you just have a KTM. No. You're not sponsored by KTM.
And that's since I had to pay for it, I don't plan on keeping it orange or running any KTM branding, nothing like that, because they're not a sponsor of mine. So I just, like I said, it was a financial decision. I wanted to go that route. And I don't know, like if I felt like if I bought a red bike, it was going to be, people aren't necessarily that tuned into necessarily me. So if I'm still in a Honda, they just think I still have the support, which I don't. So it kind of sucks because I feel like that's free marketing. And even though, I mean, with KTM, it is, I guess, too. But Like I said, there'll be no branding, and it's going to be like I refer to it as a Speed Factory bike because that's just like where the shop, like I deem that the shop that I work in and stuff. So
yeah, because it's tempting when you see KTM. Look, they've got 2-strokes, they've got dual sports, they've got such a wide variety. But then in the end, what you got was a standard 450 SX, right? Just a motocross bike. You didn't do anything that crazy.
I want to build an everyday bike. Like I want to build the bike that I'm going to take to the hills, and a bike that, well, it wasn't necessarily that's the one I picked out of KTM's lineup. It was I wanted a 450. What can I get? Because I want to, like I said, a everyday track bike, everyday hill bike. Just, you know, like the L. Obviously, it's a great bike for riding on the street. Doesn't really do that well on the trails or on a track, but I want a bike that when I'm going moto and I can ride this bike. I would love to build, if Straight Rhythm happens this year, I'd love to build another 2-stroke. I would be really interested to build a 350. And I'm not going to stick with KTM with all these builds. It's just, those are like the 350 just interests me a lot. I almost got that over the 450 because it's, you know, I've never ridden one.
Yeah. That's what I figured. You end up, if you go with just KTM, they got a variety of stuff. Or really, if you just have zero reliance to anybody, you could really start mixing these things up and pick anything.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I think when I made the switch, I think a lot of people just assumed that I was, you know, KTM now, but I'm not. I'm whatever. I'm like most of the people probably watching this right now. I just go out and buy whatever, you know, appeals to me.
Okay, so the bike, the build is going to be. It could be like a hills bike, but you could take it to the moto track. Is that what you're kind of working on?
Yeah, I'm gonna tune the suspension for more of a stiffer setting, mainly for the hills because I do spend a lot of time out there. But I would like to kind of keep in mind that I want to take it to the track someday whenever they open back up. Yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be kind of a tricky thing, but I bought the suspension so that I can have it revalved whenever I want to. I still have a really good relationship with Enzo and KYB and all the guys over there still help me out a lot. Like even when I retired, I had a loaner 450 that I was riding for a while, and they were like, hey, you know, you can use this set of suspension. If we ever need it back, we'll call you. So those guys have been really, really cool to me, and I love working with those guys. And the suspension's so good there. So those like Enzo, those guys definitely know how to dial in. Technical touch now with the KTM stuff, kind of making a conversion kit. They, I don't know, I'm really excited to try it. Like I'm riding in its stock form for as long as I can, and then once I start tearing it apart, probably next week, I'll start rebuilding it in a few weeks from now and start putting on all these cool different parts, I guess.
Now you mentioned Straight Rhythm. So there's two things. I can ask you about doing some races again, but first let's go 2-stroke. I think everyone on earth would say, oh, dude, if you're buying a bike for fun, it should be a 2-stroke. Well, there'll be some more 2-strokes in the future because everybody loves 2-strokes now.
Yeah, I do want to build another 2-stroke for sure. Like, they're so much fun to ride. It honestly, like, not even necessarily, like, more fun than a 4-stroke on the track, but just, like, hearing that sound behind you or hearing your friend on it, like, there's nothing better than the sound of a 2-stroke. So, I probably will do another one within the next year or so, a 2-stroke build. That's probably, once I finish up with this bike, that's probably what's next.
Gotcha. And then you mentioned Straight Rhythm. Did you have any temptation yet? That one's easy. You know, it's 45-second runs. You don't need to train like a madman for it. Have you ever thought about racing here or racing there or doing a more standard race at some point to get that itch at all?
No, I don't. The Straight Rhythm thing, I really wanted it because it's such a fun event. And like you said, you don't need to train. I was 3 weeks. So it was just shy of 4 months from my shoulder surgery that Straight Rhythm was. So the time worked out where literally I got up back on the bike. I could start training for 3 weeks and then race. And it was tricky because my shoulder's still not 100%. So back then it was like, all right, I'll just have to ride at 80% and really like try not to crash. My shoulder can take it.
Hey, real quick, we'll get back to Cole Seeley in a moment. Shout out to Yoshimura. Check out yoshimuracycling.com. Info on the all-new Chaleo flat pedal you can put in your mountain bike, your BMX bike, or apparently one man in Southern California, not Cole Seeley, or maybe Cole himself also, maybe it's two, are running those on a road bike. That's yoshimuracycling.com. This high-end pedal is made in the USA. You want one. Let's go back to Cole.
So that one's easy. But otherwise, you're not showing up anywhere else.
No, you know what? I thought, because I helped announce some of the stadium races this year, like on the floor. So if you're at Anaheim 1 or San Diego or St. Louis, I help just for the announcing and whatever in the stadium. And I thought maybe showing up at Anaheim 1, I would be like, man, I made the wrong decision. I should have kept. When I got there, I was like,
right.
It feels so good to show up at the track and not be stressed out and say hi to everybody, do whatever I want. Like, and then being on the floor, like seeing the track, I was like, okay, that jump looks fun, but sending it through that rhythm section, it does not look fun at all. So I think that like kind of that gave me confidence in my decision to step away from racing, because I love riding. I absolutely love it. Like I rode yesterday, I'm riding today. Trying to map out my next week for my riding schedule, and I love to go out and ride and just, whether it's in the hills or spinning some laps on a track or whatever, it's fun. But when it becomes a job, it's like any other job. You know, there's days where you do not want to show up and don't want to put out, and it's hard. So, but like I said, I love riding and I love being on the bike.
Well, I assume most people watching this probably know through your whole retirement decision, you illustrated that pretty well. But I mean, a lot of it started with you had to jump this huge jump that everyone was trying to jump in Tampa. It was scary. You crashed. You got hurt. So it's like if you go back to racing, now you're signing up for those risks again. Yeah,
and it's an interesting thing once I kind of stepped away to really digest that and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Tampa crash definitely, I would say, was the start of my decision to retire, because I was like second in points at the time. Like there was no turning away from racing at that point. Like I was fully committed. Every time I'd watch footage when we got back to the truck, it's how do I be faster? How can I be faster?
Yes.
How can I win tonight? How do I make up points on Anderson? You know, like while we were battling it out for that championship. And I don't know, I just like once that happened, I was like, it made me take a step back and look at everything in a different perspective, and kind of scared me in a sense, because if the bike had hit me a little higher, it could have gotten my spinal cord. So that tripped me out. Like that was where I was like, okay, like I was in a wheelchair for 2 months. Like it could have been permanent, and that really, really scared me. I think it would any human. But yeah, like to add to your point, also like the rhythm sections are so big now. And I actually talked about this at San Diego with like Carmichael and a couple other guys, where I was like, you know, the bikes are so fast now. Stock, like this 450 that I just got is so fast. Stock, all of them are. Every single manufacturer, Honda, Yamaha, KTM, whatever, Suzuki, they're all so fast out of the box that they need to make the tracks bigger. Like they need to, like we shouldn't be able to quad. You need to make the if you're going 3 and then going 4 in a rhythm section, you're coming into such a tight little transition with so much speed and so much force. The suspension has to be so stiff and your timing has to be so on that it's not right. We need to be like a triple needs to be like the biggest jump on the track, you know, like in a rhythm section. So I think that's the last, like obviously we're in a new age right now. Motocross is more of a jock sport than anything nowadays, with the training and strict regimens that we're all on, and the bikes are so fast. The last thing that needs to change, and hasn't yet, is the tracks. They've gotten better, but they need to get bigger. So the rhythm sections are bigger, and just I don't know. I think making the tracks bigger sounds more dangerous, but I think in the end, we'd see less injuries and more safer racing.
Yeah, because that was what was scary about yours. It was like before, if you came up short in a double 20 years ago, you were maybe going 25 miles an hour, and you came up short going 50 feet. But you were going like 50 miles an hour on a 70-footer, and the same exact crash is now maybe, double the force or something when you get it wrong.
Yeah, and the reason, when I crashed in Tampa, I was quadding, but the reason I came up short was because I didn't want to go too far. You know, like I could have given it more. I could have given it more and faced the fifth one, you know? That's like what I'm talking about. Like I was like, okay, you know, when we're judging a timing section, especially in the middle of a race, was the first time I jumped it, is you don't want to go too far either, especially in Tampa where the dirt's really soft. So that's when that type of crash, like I could have gone further, but I thought I just mistimed the jump. You know, it's 100% my fault, but I just didn't want to go too far because I've gone too far on a quad, and it's so much force that I don't know, like that's just asking to get your wrists or ankles broken, basically.
Yeah. So you're saying if there wasn't a transition right after that, a fifth jump, maybe it'd have been
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it. Everything would have been fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. So no itch to race or ride. Are you enjoying it now? Like, this is a pretty relaxing schedule that you have this point. You don't have some itch to ride. You're not pressured. Like, I got to make a paycheck next week. It sounds fun. It sounds like what everybody wants in life. Now that you're actually doing it, are you driving yourself nuts, or is it cool?
I have an itch to ride for sure. Like, I itch to ride every day. The race, no. To go out and spin laps like riding, I love riding. It's so much fun, whether I'm spinning laps on the 450, the 2-stroke, hitting the hills, even on my Harley. Like, all that stuff is so fun to me. But yeah, racing is just something that it's just something that mentally kind of screwed me up the past couple years with all the injuries. So yeah.
Hey, last thing. So how closely do you follow this? Yes, we saw you at those opening rounds. Are you like all into it? Are you texting your buddies to get all the inside scoop? Are you getting disconnected a little bit? Like, how into following the racing and the results are you right now?
Not very into it.
Really?
Yeah. I just like, it's funny because, obviously the races are on the weekend. So I want to, like, all my buddies don't work on the weekend. So I always go out and do something with my friends. Before quarantine. And it's funny because like I remember, I forget which round it was. One of the rounds at the end there when Roxon won, somebody told me Kenny won, and I was like, oh, sick. I got to text Jordan, who was my mechanic last year, Kenny's mechanic this year. So I got to text Jordan, congrats. And like, I didn't even know, like, didn't check Instagram that day, I guess, or didn't check Twitter or whatever. But yeah, it's like, when I'm there, obviously I'm very into it. I'm very in tune with what's going on, like who's coming through the pack. I know people, like, being a racer, people's riding styles, like you pick up on little things like, oh, Barsha's a little aggressive, but he also gets a little faster towards the end of the race, and like, oh, he's starting to get tired, or you pick out little things like just from racing for them for so long. But yeah, it's when I'm away from it, I'm completely away from it. It's weird.
You're just a normal guy. You've become a normal guy.
Yeah.
With normal weekend stuff.
Yep.
I'll let you plug a few things here. So you got your YouTube channel. That's just Cole Seeley. That's your YouTube subscribe, right? And then the Speed Factory line, people can get the merch on there, or where should they go to get that?
Yeah, that's SeeleySpeedFactory.com.
Okay.
I'm always plugging it on my Instagram. And like I said, it's really just a way to make a little bit of income to kind of drive the YouTube stuff, just so I don't have to dip too far into my savings. But it's cool. I think it's like, I try and use the best designers I can find, and use the best quality actual t-shirts and hoodies I can find. So I definitely don't like sell it short, for sure. So when people buy stuff, they're definitely getting what they pay for.
Do you have a coffee line that you're associated with or something? How does this all work?
Yeah. So we just me and two of my friends, Max and Ryan, we just started I've always wanted to start a coffee, or get into the coffee industry somehow. Like, back in the day, Ryan Lope, who I used to train with, him and I talked about it, about maybe starting a little coffee shop or doing something like that, just because we love it. Like, coffee is a universal thing worldwide where you drink every day. Like, literally, like, that's just part of your routine. So yeah, it's Bump Start Coffee. We don't sell in stores or anything like that. So online, it's just bumpstartcoffee.com. So really, like, that was the one thing too. Like, I didn't want to just start a coffee brand with these guys. I wanted it to be the best beans, and like, not something where you taste it and it's like, oh, these are too burnt, or I don't really feel an after effect. It doesn't really pick me up. This stuff, like, definitely gets you going after one cup. And yeah, it's really, really good stuff. And it's cool too, though, because like, people like really connect to it, like, more than even than like my merch side of things, where people are like, hey, I heard you started a coffee line. I'm like, oh yeah, like, that's like literally the first thing people say to me now. Like, it's a really cool and different industry, and it's something that I'm pretty passionate about. Like, I absolutely, when I was racing, I would drink 5 cups of coffee a day, like, in the morning.
Were the trainers okay with this?
Like, two in the morning, one before second practice, one before last practice, one before my heat, and one before the main. I was literally drinking that much coffee a day.
Were the trainers okay with this?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay. It's just what you wanted to do. Yeah.
I'm just such a mellow, I don't know, my temperament is just so mellow. I need something to, like, get me fired up and get me. Dr. G says 6 cups, but no, it was 5.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, you got a little expertise. You know two things, motorcycles and coffee. So this is what you're involved in now.
Yeah, exactly. That's my two. That's just what I'm naturally accustomed to.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for giving us some time. Have fun at Deegan's. I guess we'll see some video from that at some point, right?
Yeah. I try and film one day, edit that night, and put it out the next day. So I'm having a ton of stuff put out on my channel. So if anybody.
So by the way, this means you're hands on. Like you're shooting, editing, all that.
Yeah, I've gotten just like I try and film in a very like amateur, like relatable way, you know, where it's not overproduced. I film on little cameras where it's easy for me to pull audio and video from and slice it up real neat and then put out like it's really only ends up being like a 12 to 20 minute video every day, but I just take the footage I have and you know, edit it that night and take some time to make a thumbnail and throw it up on YouTube.
I'm glad you're doing it because, and you stated this when you first started it, if you look at cars and other industries, there's a million of these YouTube type things. And I think we didn't have that necessarily, or at least from someone credible. So
that's how I got into it was I'm a huge Japanese car classic guy. I love the whole Japanese car, especially from the 90s era. So a lot of the stuff that I was watching while I was injured, especially when I got injured after Tampa, I was spending so much time watching YouTube. So I just like kind of studied, what are they doing? Like, and the engagement is crazy. So I thought, you know, like, why not step into that? And the first build we did was the L. So like, I felt like that was the perfect new platform that I could do and kind of introduce the whole thing to the scene.
All right. Yeah. So we needed a guy like you. We needed someone with credibility who everyone knew can get some cool stuff and do what everybody else is already doing in the other sports. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. Have fun at Deegan's. Thanks for hanging out and enjoy it. And enjoy the fact that you can actually enjoy this and it's not driving you nuts to not have to train every day. That's good.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you, Cole.
Interesting stuff there from Cole Seeley with the bike builds. Yeah, I'm a car guy. I don't talk about it much. That's my, I guess my guilty pleasure is to go on these car websites and apps for buying cars. I don't actually ever spend the money and actually buy them. I just think about what it would be like to buy them and what would be the best use of my money if I ever spent any of it. But I don't think now's the time. And it has also led, of course, to YouTube, which has really taken over as far as car journalism and the latest news and what's happening and reviews on machines. It's really all moved to YouTube. So what I think Cole has basically done is just taken the model that he's seen that other industries or sports or hobbies already have and tried to throw it to the motocross side. And it's good because now that my kid's riding and I'm getting a little more wrenching time myself, it's painful. It is painful, the dearth of good information on YouTube for dirt bikes. I mean, I just got a set of handlebars that I want to put on my son's PW50, and if you type in how to change PW50 handlebars, it's like some rando dad with like 38 views working in his garage putting these handlebars on the bike. And if you want a PW50 and you type PW50 into YouTube, I mean, this is the all-time classic kids bike, and the only info you're going to get is some random dads. Or you type in dirt bikes and you get some dad that's got these Chinese mini bikes in his backyard. We could be servicing the market on YouTube a little bit better. I've stated that case to some of the teams. A couple of years ago, I actually got Honda to look up this guy named Blippi, who does these unbelievably popular videos for toddlers, and he had covered anything a boy would like to watch. You know, this is a museum, and here's some giant dinosaur bones, and here's how a bulldozer works, and here's how a dump truck works, and here's how a monster truck works, and here's how a boat works, and here's how a jet ski works, and here's how a plane works, and here's how a helicopter works, and here's how a fire truck works. He had covered everything, but he had not covered dirt bikes. So I got in touch with my guy Chris Johnham, who used to work with us actually at Road Racer X. He now is part of Honda's PR department. His firm is part of Honda's PR department, and he looked up Blippi, and now we have a dirt bike video on Blippi on YouTube. You've not heard of it, I know, but I just looked it up right now. 1 year ago, Blippi rides a motorcycle, 14 million views. 14 million views on YouTube, and I can guarantee you every single one of them is a kid. And then there's one where he rides on a ranch with horses, and he's on a Honda Quad. 27 million views. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's really good to get that kind of exposure of dirt bikes to kids so they want to ride dirt bikes for the rest of their lives. So I'm pumped that Sealy is reaching a very apparently coveted demographic that we're all missing. He's not appealing to toddlers, but the point is there's lots of people that now use YouTube as their primary source for info, and I don't think the industry is quite servicing it well. We do from a racing standpoint. There's plenty of highlights of races on there, but as far as working on bikes and riding bikes, there's dudes, Jeff Walker, Johnny Hopper, there's a whole bunch of dirt bike YouTube stars that just jumped into a void that no one else filled. That could have been any of these guys. So Cole Sealy's got credibility. We'll see how far he can take it, and I do think that it would be a little boost for the industry as well. So I wish him luck. That's it for our show. Thanks to Yoshimura. They back Sealy. They get it. And check out the Chileo pedal, YoshimuraCycling.com. Check out Yoshimura-RD.com for exhaust system info. And check out RacerXOnline.com for all your news. You know, if you just look at the subscribe link at the top, you can get 3 issues of the magazine, print and digital, for $2.99. I got to go. That's it. Thanks for listening. See you next week.